Welcome to the 7th episode of Junto Club. On this episode, we tackle the hubbub at the Capitol this past week. I rant about why I'm just done with politics and bureaucracy. Meanwhile, Matt and Shu are ready for another election cycle. For any questions, comments, or to enlighten us with your political wisdom, email juntoclubpodcast@gmail.com. This is Junto Club.
Junto Club.
All right, so welcome to the Junto Club. So it's the 7th meeting so far, and we model this club podcast after inspired by Benjamin Franklin's original Junto Club, where he actually spawned the idea of original public library. So we try to do the same thing here, and to also learn about stuff every week. So I guess this way is a little bit interesting because online what happened on Wednesday, right? So on the January 6th, 2021, right? Gonna be in the history of the U.S. forever. So I guess before we jump in, gonna start talking about that. Actually, I'm gonna take you guys back 300 years ago.
300?
Yeah, more than 300 years ago in 1787. It's a story about Benjamin Franklin. So basically, in 1787, and the Constitutional Convention, right, where the U.S. Constitution was adopted. So as Benjamin Franklin was leaving, he was asked by a lady, quote, "Well, doctor, what we got, a republic or monarchy?" Right? And then Benjamin Franklin replied, "A republic if you can keep it." Right? So I think I found that very relevant to today's discussion, I think. And so for that, I have two questions. Like, one is like, what do you think? Like, what did Benjamin Franklin mean by that phrase, "a republic if you can keep it"? And then second, like, with what happened? Second question is, with what happened on January the 6th? Can we still keep it? All
right. Are we going to call out the arithmetic, or are we not?
No, we're just letting that one slide, Michael.
Okay.
What arithmetic? I say more than 300 years ago, not 300 years ago.
You're right. That's the problem. 1787 wasn't quite 300 years ago, but that's no big deal.
Oh, it's not quite. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. It was 300 years ago.
No, you should have just said it was a joke. You should have been like, "I'm kidding.
No. Oh,
okay.
Man, Asian. I thought Asians good at math. Okay. Oh man, what a shame.
No one will believe we're 3 robotics PhDs. But in any case, I
tried to break the stereotype, right? Of Asians good at math, you know?
That's right.
To be fair, the better you get at math, the less and less you actually see numbers in anything. So, you know.
That is true. All right. So I guess the first question was, what did he mean by that, right? So, well, I mean, I think anytime, I think he probably had a sense that humans are, naturally want to claim power. I mean, humans are naturally, greedy in a way, right? I mean, we evolved through survival of the fittest. So, I mean, I think anytime you have, a representative government, there's going to be at least some who want to sort of seize more power or, I guess try to seize more power than they're due, and not necessarily represent their constituents, but represent their own interests. So I guess he probably understood that inevitably, a republic would be challenged by a large percentage of humans' sort of inborn greed. So that's why.
When you look at the context, right? They call the U.S. one of like the longest experiment in democracy or something, right? I've heard phrases like that. Like at the time, like a democratic republic was almost unheard of. You know, it's not like kind of what we assume most countries will go with like today. So, you know, I assume the people at the Constitutional Convention were like, this is basically an experiment and we don't know if it's even going to like work, you know, like, is it going to fall apart in like 5 or 15 years, much less, you know, a few centuries.
Yeah. No, that is fair. Yeah. So, I mean, they were all coming, essentially everyone involved was coming from only knowing like monarchies, right?
Yeah. I mean, England, like at that time, England was like somewhat on the path. Like it wasn't just like a king doing whatever they wanted, but yeah, they weren't exactly, you know, a democratic country. I don't think either. Obviously history is by no means my expertise, but
so based on actually interesting that I was reading, actually that's the first time that I was like, what's the difference? Why is it called republic instead of just a democracy, right? No, actually I did some readings about that, and then they would talk. Like I think we can talk about the difference later, but basically, democracy. Basically, it's a republic because the founders, like Hamilton, Madison, they all like talk about historically. Like even John Adams talk about historically democracy in like ancient Roman, Greek. I think that ancient societies, all democracy have failed, right? So that's why U.S. like when they try to make the U.S. government constitution, they make it into a republic instead of a pure democracy, right? So I think we can talk about that a bit later. But anyway, so do you want to, anything to add on that? Or should we just go on talking about what happened on Wednesday?
I think we move on.
Yeah. All right. So what you guys, I guess, what you guys thought on what happened on Wednesday?
So you know how like an animal that's dying in the corner might lash out, you know, angrily?
Yeah.
I think that's what we saw. I think the sort of the cult is kind of on the way out. You see, you know, political allies dropping left and right. I think more and more people are going to be just like regular people are going to be like put off by it. And, you know, I think this is like the extremists sort of lashing out because they realize like it's kind of coming to an end.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a fair assessment for pretty much everyone there. And I mean, honestly, like I'm almost bored by it. Like,
wow.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't call myself bored with what happened on Wednesday, but
it's just like, I mean, it's just like, it's like, I'm sick of people like what's the word? Like demigod? Like, I'm sick of people treating politicians or having politicians as their demigods. Like, I mean, it's just like, don't you have more going on in your own life? Like, no. I mean,
for a lot of these people, the answer is probably no.
What's going on, Mike? You were a big fan of Trump back in 2016.
But I didn't okay. I enjoyed, some of the things he did made me laugh, but it's like, I didn't I assumed he was going to lose to Clinton, and I was like, and I was not going to be overly upset, I was not going to be upset the next day if he did. It was just like, oh, okay, that's not going to affect my life that materially. You know, it's like, I mean, I don't think their policies were that, I don't think him and Biden had vastly different policies, maybe except with respect to COVID. So, I mean, once the pandemic's over, I do not think, the country is going to change that much. So, I mean, it's just, I guess I don't know. As someone who, I mean, I get it because, when I was a young kid, I let sports, influence my mood. If my team lost, I'd be annoyed. But it's I guess I've moved beyond that. And I feel like politics in many ways, in many ways, people's whose lives are not materially affected by the outcome of different things, will often be married to a specific politician. And it's they're married to that politician without knowing like any of their positions or anything, or like being able to articulate like what changes in their life based on that politician being in office.
No, especially, I mean, this is something, I feel like a lot of people just are into the culture war right now. And I mean, it's not entirely free from the left, but it's definitely the right is driving it more. And it's so annoying because they like, you're right, like these things don't materially impact their lives, but they're obsessed with like the idea of both like what the America that's in their fantasy, and then also like the fear imagined evil communist state that the, Democrats secretly are going to try to implement, and they just get so wrapped up into this fantasy world. Like, I mean, they don't talk about policies, which kills me. Like, you look at all the stuff like in the Georgia Senate race, it's just nothing but like, radical socialist Warnock. And what did he say in a sermon 20 years ago? Not like a single thing about like, hey, what policies do we support that we think are better or would help people? It's very annoying.
Right. I'll just say, like, if and when a bill comes up that influences your life, if you oppose a bill and say, this is why it's going to negatively impact my life, I'm all for it. Like, go call, senators, call representatives and be like, I will not vote for you if you do not, if you do not support, or if you support this bill. But, depending on whatever side you fall on, I guess. But it's like, if they're not, like, if they haven't espoused anything that you can say will super positively or super negatively impact your life, don't care. Like, that's the bottom line. It's like, I don't think Biden, like, if you are currently making above $1 million and it's like, I'm really bummed Biden lost. It's like, okay, like, I can understand that he's going to jack up taxes even more on earnings over 400,000. Like, cool. Like, I can see why you're not a fan of that. But it's like, if you don't, it's like, okay, like, I like basically get in a position where you're earning that before you worry. It's like on the Democratic side, it's like a lot of the things, like, I agree Trump fucked up, like with the COVID. I mean, and he was bad about this. Like, he should not have challenged the elections at this point. Like, he could have requested a recount once the courts came back, like, you lost. He should have been like, I lost. And it's like the Democrats who are have been out for blood for 4 years. It's like, you should have looked the other, like, once he got elected, it's like, you should have, like, articulated exactly what he was doing and not just been like, he's a terrible person. Like, I mean, I think you get a lot more, at least for me, it's like people get a lot more leeway or a lot more credit if they're just basically like, this is a policy that is negatively impacting me and here's how. So,
yeah, I think regarding earlier talking about the politician, when they don't really talk about policy, even like saying about what Trump did actually negative impact you and stuff like that. I mean, politicians, they understand human psychology fundamentally, right? It's about emotion, right? It's about ideology. It's not really about policies and about, issues, right? So some people do care, but most people, they understand those voters, they just fundamental human psychology, right? They are very emotional to ideologies, right? So how you elicit those emotions, that's how they want to play it, right? So anyway, regarding what happened on Wednesday, is it really that big a deal? Like, cause I know on the news, Fox News, NBC, ABC, all these news channels I was listening to, it's like, it seems like it's a very big deal to know a whole world, right? And so, to you guys, since you guys grew up in the U.S., right? I was born here, grew up, I'm kind of, immigrated here. I became a U.S. citizen. I do care, but personally, I don't feel like there was any. Maybe because I have a distance because I was immigrated here and became a U.S. citizen, so I don't feel like it's such a big deal moment for U.S. Maybe because I know U.S. is much more resilient on this, but to you guys, what do you think? Do you really think this is a big deal moment for U.S.? Because a lot of people are actually equated to almost September 11, right? So
yeah, I don't think it's quite 9/11 level.
Yeah.
It's what I would say it's a moderately big deal, but it's mostly about people's reactions to it. It's not like what they did was that substantive, right? Like they went in, they trashed the place and stole a few things, and then they left or they got kicked out. Like in the end, yeah, that's not like the end of the world, but if anything, I think they really just put like the killing blow to like Trump and his movement, right? Like that is making them just look so bad. I don't want to say I'm glad, but it's almost nice for the people who are like opposed to them. It's like you could make it any easier. Like, so, some of those people, they had them on video going in with like stacks of zip ties and stuff, which really looks like they wanted to take someone hostage. And I'm like, the only thing they could have done to kill off like Trump's influence even faster is that they actually got in like a senator or a representative, like zip tied up and took him out as a hostage. I'm like, that's when you actually get the military like driving tanks in on you or something. Like, so they're probably lucky that everyone was evacuated pretty quickly. But, yeah. So anyway, so I would say it's just a big deal because of the people's reactions. I think this is like, I don't know. I think we might be seeing the split of the Republican Party right now. And it'll be really interesting to see, like, do the Trump loyalists, try to break off and form a third party and then just like kill the GOP? Does the GOP, like the sane GOP manage to kind of like reform and distance themselves? And then like those people just vote for the sane GOP just because it's better than Democrats to them or what?
No, I think that'll be maybe the only big thing that comes out of this is the fracturing of the party and like because at this point, basically Wednesday, I thought, like, when I heard about what happened Wednesday, I was just like, they're so stupid. Like, like, it's just like, Trump, it was like, I didn't feel like there was ever a threat of him, like, maintaining office. Like, so it was just like it was clear, like, either he was going to get dragged out or he was eventually, like, regardless of if this happened or not, basically he was just going to say, like, okay, like, I'll leave. And as much as, like, he did it in a way that was, disrespectful and not necessarily, like, ideal for the office, he was going to do what he was going to do. Like, these people acting as the way they did, I guess, shows... essentially it shows he has a strong enough following to start a media company should he want to. And basically the Republican Party is like, just because so many people yet again just go along party line, the Republican Party's in trouble because he has enough influence where like he could take at least these people who showed up to the Capitol with him. And as it is, the Republican Party, I think like essentially was 50-50, right? The election was pretty close, 51-49. So, they can't, I guess, afford to lose a chunk of people at this point. So, and I guess traditionally red states are turning blue like Georgia. So, so you're losing out if you let your party fracture at this point. So, and I think the Democrats are obviously at a point where they, the far left and sort of the more moderate Democrats. I'd be interested to see if there's more like three parties, like the farther left, the Trump right, and then like maybe a middle, like sort of a middle party with like the more moderate Democrats and Republicans. So
could happen. At least for now, Trump's created such like a threat for the left that they've, like the left side of politics is traditionally more fractured, splintered, but like, the threat of Trump was enough to like kind of bring them together and just say, even if there's pretty different views within the Democratic Party, like we're going to like work together.
Right.
But, Lindsey Graham, Republican senator, said in 2016, did y'all see this? Because people are pulling it up again. In 2016, He tweeted, if we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we will deserve it. And it's like, oh man, I think he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought Lindsey Graham was the golf body of Donald Trump. They are the best buddies.
I think you're right. I think after Trump was nominated or won at some point, he kind of became a supporter. But
BFF.
Well, I mean, look at Ted Cruz. I mean, Trump literally implied his father was involved in like the JFK assassination, and he's the guy, like the last guy who's like, I'm challenging this election.
Hold on. He did better. He literally in the Republican debate, he called Ted Cruz's wife ugly on TV, live TV. He straight to his face. He called his wife ugly, and Ted Cruz still goes around and campaigns for him and shit. Can you believe? Can you imagine being Ted Cruz?
This is why, like, any politician, it's like, I'm just not that interested. They're all like this, you know?
I think most are not like this. A lot are not. Not
okay.
that bad.
Well, okay, but Bernie, I mean, like, it was very clear, like, the Democrats fixed, like, the nomination for Hillary in 2016. Like, she was getting questions in advance. Like,
wow.
And Bernie.
Keep going.
Yeah, no, I mean, so Bernie, like, he fell in line, and he absolutely should not. Like, I mean,
Well, I would disagree with several things there. I would say, first of all, it's really not. I mean, were there people in the DNC who favored Hillary? Sure, but like, and maybe they tried to help her a little bit. I don't think anything they did was really substantial. And yeah, Bernie, quote unquote, fell in line, but he was able to use his influence and honestly both primaries to push the party a lot towards the things he wants. So as much as Bernie is overall, he's in like, you know, he's like an ideological kind of guy. He's not a compromiser per se. I think he played it politically smart to try to, you know, push the party where he wants, even though he never got a majority of the Democratic Party to support him in either case, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just the reality was like he kind of capped out around 30% of the Dems who were like, and yeah, maybe like 25% were like super hyped, like, oh, we love Sanders so much. But, you know, there are more people who are just like, not really what I'm about. No, I think this is kind of, I mean, the whole like the DNC stealing it from Bernie, it's kind of like, it's like a mirror image of what the Trump people say. You know, they were always talking about how the RNC and, you know, rhinos and the swamp are trying to like steal things and trick Trump or, you know, whatever, conspiracy theories to like hold your man down.
I think Mike is just getting into the hating women conspiracy theories, but those are very good. You should.
Are you just a misogynist, Mike?
Yes, that's it. I'm a misogynist. No, I mean, to be fair, I probably like would have preferred Hillary over Bernie. I don't agree with almost anything he has to say, but I mean, it's you know, I mean, it's just more. I mean, I do think that the political machine wields an influence that I mean is not necessarily like. I mean, I don't know. It's just hard for me because it's like you know, I mean, politicians. It's like, what do they really know? What can they really do?
I can see that like most of the DNC like was favoring Hillary, right? So some of them might have done something to nudge it slightly, but I'm not sure if they do it very like dramatically. Yeah.
I mean, in the end, it's still the voters, right? I mean, that's why Trump got the nomination was because he was able to convince enough voters.
Sure,
but I mean, Clinton was a Democrat. Bernie Sanders wasn't even a Democrat, right? Like he just came in to run, which is fine, but it's not a surprise that like Democrats who've been working with the Democratic Party weren't like fond of him.
Sure. No, I mean, I guess I like go back to like, you know, I mean, Hillary got like the CNN gave her, you know, I think there was a news story about CNN giving her like questions in advance. I mean, that clearly gives her an advantage to sway voters if she has prepped responses versus Bernie being caught off guard. So I mean, I guess there are things that, yeah, you're probably right, may have not made a difference in the grand scheme of things with voters. But I mean, there was clearly favoritism. And I mean, given the position on other things, like when it comes to like the general election and stuff, I mean, I do think it's like, I think people are very quick to like, you know, like when they say, oh no, like the both sidism doesn't hold because one is vastly different than the other. I think it does hold to a degree. I mean, I think there are members of both parties who are essentially just walk the party line, or, you know, basically the right can do no right and the left can do all right, or vice versa. And like, I'm just bored. I just can't stand it anymore because it's like the politicians I mean, a lot of politicians don't know what they're doing and, are basically have a cushy job. And like, I don't like if you actually ask them to do something, I don't know that they have any like measurable skill. So it's just frustrating to be like that so many people marry themselves to like politicians or a party, because it's like you're marrying yourself to something that I don't know deserves that.
Wait, are you talking about women marrying politicians, or what are you talking about? What do you mean by marrying?
No, like
you marry yourself to politics?
Right. Essentially, so associating your identity, like there are so many people who it's like, I don't know if Matt probably saw this, but a lot of people were copying and pasting this thing to like forever before the election. Like anytime something bad happened for the Trump administration, people were pasting this thing and said, I like live and breathe. Like every morning I get up to enjoy the tears of Trumpers, and like I live and breathe to like enjoy see Trump fail, and like it was this big long thing they copied and pasted, and I'm like, that is a terrible life. Like if you draw enjoyment over watching the like president fail, I don't care how obnoxious he is. Like, why aren't you doing something else? Like,
hey, Mike, you should stop sounding so self-righteous, because they drive meaning from that, kudos to them, right? So.
I suppose. I mean, I guess, yeah. Maybe maybe I just need to drive pleasure out of simpler things. So,
I think you drive pleasure by angering and these people having no meaning to their lives.
Look, I'm going to take the centrist position here, and I think she's right that if some people are just like involved in politics and that's their passion, that's fine. But Mike's right that no matter how much you care about politics, you shouldn't worship a specific politician as, your cult leader, benevolent, whatever, dictator / deity. Politicians, I mean, really, like there should never be a politician you agree on with for everything, right? Because they're not you. It's like, so if you can't find something you disagree with them, like you're probably not taking a critical eye towards what they say or what they do.
That I think is a good point. Yes. Like in a way, take a critical eye. Like anytime you encounter something new, always take at least like, I mean, you don't need to be like harsh on everything. That's not what I'm saying. Like, but take a critical eye and like honestly try to assess like what parts of this do I agree with? What parts do I disagree with? I'm not saying you need to disagree with everything. I'm not saying you need to agree with everything, but just like honestly assess it, because like, yeah, if someone has like, basically I think people take a view of the world like if this were the world, it would be perfect. And that usually is because they're in a good position in that world. Maybe not leader and king, but in a good, comfortable position. So everyone's view is going to be slightly different. So
I see. So, all right, going back to the question about like why politicians, right, attracting these. You were saying that politicians almost like very unintelligent. They don't know what they're doing, right? Because right now in this climate, I guess the politician gets so much scrutiny, right? About like media, that whatever they say, they just like go through so much examination of their lives and stuff like that, right? Whenever they run office and stuff like that. So this kind of scrutiny actually like they are the smart people, right? The people that are really smart, like running business, the CEOs, they don't want this kind of scrutiny on their lives, right? So they actually avoid politics. So what you end up with are people that actually have maybe not as qualified, not as good as so we are not having the brightest people, the best people running the country, because the best people, they don't want the scrutiny of the press, right? So, and they don't want something that to, I guess, whatever they have in their closet, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so I guess that's one point that I heard that a lot of like smart people, like the brightest people in America are not getting into politics, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think the biggest example of that, I mean, it like when the heads of like Facebook, Google, Amazon, like all these big tech companies, when they went to Congress, like to testify, like it was pretty clear, like the people who are in our government don't know don't know the first thing about the technology sector, right? And it's like, yeah, I mean, you can argue, like, they have people working for them who are supposed to. But, I mean, I guess we've seen politicians, like, not necessarily, like, I mean, essentially just vote on, I mean, you talked about how emotion is a big influencer. I mean, I think a lot of what they vote on is based on emotion, and not even necessarily their own emotion, but also the emotion of their bases and their constituents. And their constituents may not know the first thing about, like, these different, like, tech companies or, you know, different. I mean, they may not know these issues. They take big leaps based on, like, the emotion that arises when they first hear it. And it's bad. Like, it should just be, like, I mean, there should be, ideally, there would be at least some people in Congress who, like, we agree, like, these people understand the issue at hand and, like, are able to get, or these people are able to get advice and take, like, actually weigh the advice of people who actually know what they're, like, know the issue and, like, understand the issue and can give us, like, a pretty solid answer as to which side this should be on. So, I mean, it's just hard, though, because, yeah, I mean, like I say, that when these different tech heads, like, were testifying, it was like, it's clear, like, a lot of people who are making decisions about, like, I guess putting some type of constraints on that industry don't know the first thing about that industry. So,
you know, I want to push back a little bit. And I mean, obviously, yeah, most politicians aren't super tech savvy because it's really, politics is more about law, right? Most people come from, like, a law background or other areas related to that. But I mean, I would say the average politician is probably smarter than the average person. You know, there are duds, but, like, a lot of politicians are pretty smart. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And you're absolutely right. Like, they have to deal with all sorts of areas that it can't be an expertise in, like, everything, right? So,
right.
But, like, you know, like, I mean, Barack Obama, he's a very smart guy, and I'm pretty confident that he was willing to listen and learn from experts on the areas that he didn't personally know well. So I don't know. It's like to just be like, oh, politicians are dumb because smart people don't go into politics. I don't feel like that's accurate. It's an easy dismissal, but I don't think it's really true.
Yeah, good point.
I'm not saying as a whole they're, like, politicians are dumb, but I'm saying, like, I feel like
you were mostly saying that.
I say, well, I mean, and I disagree with Matt to a degree. I mean, I think that politicians, there are a lot of politicians, I think, who don't weigh options well. And I mean, basically, and I mean, I really do think that, like, I mean, just, I don't know that anyone did, like, successfully question. Like, I listened to, like, the entire, like, discussion with, like, the tech heads. And I don't know that anyone was asking questions that showed an understanding of those types of companies. And if I think they had gotten appropriate experts, I think they could have done a much, much better job.
What case was this about that you're referring to? Like, so the Senate or Congress had them. What were they asking about? Or
it was antitrust, I think, right? Was it antitrust?
There have been two. I mean, antitrust. So I believe was the most recent one. So basically, like, market share. Like, there were lots of questions about market share. So lots of questions about competition. Basically, there was not a whole lot of understanding about, like, the the technologies that go into smartphones they talked a lot about smartphones and, like, the market share of iPhone versus the market share of Android and, price setting. So I guess there just wasn't a whole lot there. And also, there's also been the privacy issue, right? Like, how the data is used, like, how the data is collected, how the data is mined, like, how the data is sold between companies. Like, these are all issues that require some understanding of technology. And, like, I just don't know that anyone, like, I just don't know.
I mean, I guess okay. I mean, to be fair, as Matt said earlier, and these are lawyers, they don't really have to understand, but yeah. But I guess you're saying
no,
that
but they do,
to,
right? I mean, I guess like
you think they need to?
I mean, so for example, they're in control of, I mean, lawyers, I mean, I guess like this is just me hating on lawyers because like, I mean, it's in part, it's like, I mean, they control patents, right? Like the US has a patent office, right? And they do employ PhDs who are allegedly, and they, PhDs who are experts in the area can be called to like testify when a particular patent is, challenged or whatever. But it's in a way hard for me to like, I mean, the first line of defense, I guess, for like intellectual protection of property and stuff is lawyers who have essentially zero understanding of the area. And that is frustrating as hell. Like, so, I mean, cause it's like, it's like, you say I'm coming out with a product that's novel, or an invention that's novel. I want to protect it. Like, and they say, oh, like here's papers that use the buzzwords, you're talking about, like it's not novel. And it's like, no, it is. Like you do not understand this. So yeah.
This sounds like it was personal to you, Mike. Did you have like someone steal your patent?
No, I mean, this is, yes. I guess as I learn more about like intellectual protection and just like, and as I deal more and more with like bureaucracy, it just is like, it just makes you insanely frustrated. It just makes you sick because it's like, it stands in the way of innovation and.
Doesn't protecting IP stand in the way of innovation? Because it's basically giving many monopolies for little bits of time.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, see, that's the thing. It's like I don't think it would if you had experts in charge, because I think, or like if you had people with genuine expertise, because I think they could say like this is overly general and be specific and like force people to patent like here's an idea, like a very specific idea, a very specific invention that your company is protecting. Whereas if like you don't have people, like if people who are not experts and are heavily involved in the process, it's a little bit more of a crapshoot what can get through, what can get patented and what can't. Because then companies are like, oh, we're going to look to patent something as general as we possibly can. And that isn't, I mean, that's an issue. I mean, like you're constant, like you're having companies, essentially companies, inventors, individuals, basically be like, well, what is the correct balance of like, what's the correct balance between like what's general enough to make it like worthwhile for me, but what's specific enough where they're like, I can essentially make them believe it's unique. So, I mean, I think if you had experts in there, they could sort of say like, they could go through and say, this is like your invention. Like we can understand what your invention is. We can understand what's unique about it. And that's what you're getting protection for whatever it is, however many years it is. So, I mean, I think that would enable people to own intellectual property and not be shooting to own like massive amounts of space in the area that, I mean, they really they aren't even pursuing, but they own it. Like they'll try to enforce the patent like willy nilly. I mean,
so much stuff now though is like software. And I mean, people do IPs on software, but it almost seems pointless, right? Like who's really making something that no one's thought of, right? Like you're just trying to do a better version of something that someone else has already coded up and put online for free. And like, it seems like good companies are just like, fuck it. Like if you think you can if we're going to code something that's good, we're going to keep our source code safe. And then it's like, if you can remake it, good luck. That seems to be the better approach. Cause like, I mean, today, like what's a new invention in the last 10 years, right? That's actually a new invention.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, patents, like software, most companies don't have patents on software. You can't really patent software. And also, Even a lot of business like investor when they like for example if you watch Shark Tank, right? A lot of companies say, "Oh, I have patents on this." They don't. The sharks don't even give a fuck about what you doesn't really care even if you have patents, right? So a lot of times patent it's not as useful as you think it is, I guess.
I mean, there's a reason they usually say innovation, not invention, right? Like, it's not like people are coming up with new machines to do things that no one else had ever made, like their Trinky box that can do this, right? I feel like with the way modern technology and progress is going, the whole idea around patents is kind of, it makes less and less sense.
No, I mean, I can see that, but I mean, I guess for me, I guess where this started is I mean, I guess like we started with politicians, lawyers, like they're heavily involved in the innovative process.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
They're heavily, and they know nothing about it. So that's where I guess so patents, I guess, is because I've been writing patents and it occurs to me. And, so I mean, there's intellectual protection. And I mean, as I say, scope is important. Like, you may want to protect, I mean, yes, if you're just cranking out video games or you're cranking out phone software or something like that, there isn't necessarily an inventive step from one to the other. Like an iPhone and an Android phone, they look pretty similar. I mean, I'm guessing a lot of the underlying code is pretty similar. But I mean, with sort of in medicine and technology and like what it takes to sort of create certain things it does take maybe an inventive step, and you want some protection on that. So, yeah.
I was going to say, I do feel like my statement maybe is biased towards where we work, but like medicine, yeah, like you discover a new drug, right? Like that's a little bit different because you maybe spend a ton of time, trying to test things and find out what works. And if someone just says like, oh, this drug works, well, we're just going to like produce it as well. And, didn't put any of the time into it. So like it makes sense in that context, but I don't see how it makes a lot of sense in most engineering disciplines these days.
No, and that's fair. I mean, that is fair, but but when it comes to, like, is Facebook, like, a monopoly or something? Or, is Google a monopoly? Like, because they're spreading into these other areas and, buying up competition and all of that. I mean, I guess I don't know that I have like necessarily a great example, but like, I mean, the politicians asking the question, like, what are the barriers to entry if someone wanted to challenge you in your space? Like, the honest answer to that requires like a pretty good amount of understanding of like how, I guess, like a client server, like application and social networking application, like how those are set up. I feel like, and they may, yes, be able to get like some level of understanding, but I don't necessarily know.
Maybe tech people are just bad and like explaining stuff to regular people, right? Maybe
tech people are notoriously bad at that.
I mean, also they are probably rehearsed their answers, right? So even though they are not trying to, they know they will just gain, right? So they will not intentionally try to give a very intelligible answer. So the question sounds like that question was good. It just the answer was terrible, right? Because they having a hard time explaining stuff. Yeah.
I'm in agreement with Shu. That seems like a very reasonable question, and I don't think you need to get into the details of how you build a search engine, right? They can be like, oh, it takes like you need this much, like how much server infrastructure do you need in terms of like locations and just like cost estimates, right? Like, oh, to do this, you would need to spend this much money to run some servers, blah blah blah. You would need to develop like, is this something like that'd be like a few programmers could do, or do you need like a team of researchers to like re-implement your own version? Just get some. I mean, in these sort of discussions, it's more about just like the big scales, right? Like, okay, here's like the rough cost breakdowns to do something similar, to get started, right? And that seems like a good question that you shouldn't need. Google doesn't have to explain how their search engine optimization works, right?
Right.
They can be like, these papers are all publicly available and you can implement, with a team of XYZ, professionals, you could implement this, re-implement this,
All
Yeah.
I don't
right.
know.
Sounds good. I think we should stop there instead of getting into the rabbit hole of the patterns. And it sounds like Mike is very passionate about it. So
Yeah,
I
maybe you
think
should bring up some.
Yeah. Go
You
ahead.
should. I was going to say next. You should find your worst examples of this because it seems like something you care about. And you should come next week with a few concrete examples that piss you off. That'd be fun to hear.
Okay.
And then if me and Shu still disagree with you, we can bat around it. But
Yeah.
No.
So,
I mean, I guess, yeah, I'll just end on the fact, like, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of my angst is like, I think I see a lot of people in politics who are very quick to demonize, like, the work that goes into companies, the work that goes into, like, I mean, companies like, Google, Facebook. And I guess it gets annoying because it's like, you don't know the first thing about this. Like, you couldn't do this if you tried. So.
All right. Instead, I'll give you your last word. My last word is, I think politicians, they were doing exactly what they should be doing. It's called playing politics, right? That's why everybody hates politics, because they play politics. And this is what they should be doing. They are just doing what the system designed them to do. It's their incentive to do this kind of stuff. So it's not a politician, it's the system. If you want to really fix this, you need to somehow have a better incentive that, have them to do something else. So, go ahead.
I'm going to steal the last word again. That's why I support, and this is something we'll have to probably have another whole episode for. I support having rather than having politicians run, politicians should be nominated. Like, like, you should be forced to be a politician.
Okay, yeah, where we just pick the best people, like select some poor sap who doesn't want it and says it.
Exactly.
No, I like that idea. We'll talk about it another time. But last word on this topic, because I want the last word. I'm going to agree with Mike about what he's talking about now, though, because there's definitely politicians on both sides definitely have taken an almost adversarial approach to the tech world. And I think it's populist garbage that they just throw out and they're like, oh, Amazon and Facebook and Google, you're evil. I'm going to throw out some junk that doesn't really mean much to feed meat to my voting base that just, wants an enemy, right? They're just looking for some populist enemy to be the target. And it's like, oh, if only Amazon and Google did something different, our country wouldn't have problems. And they're wrong because these tech companies are a source of a significant amount of the wealth of our country in the first place. So I agree with you on that some populists are unnecessarily hostile about stuff. It's populism. Right. Populism is garbage. That's my ending statement.
Okay, all right. Matt got the last word on that. So let's bring you guys back to the main topic of today, the storming of Capitol, right? I think we went off tangents on the other stuff there. So why do you think what's the goal of those people when they try to get into those? Those that into the Capitol, right? And those people actually, I think it was like QN, whatever, the conspiracy group, and then Proud Boys. What are their goals? Are they? I think. What do you think? Just to get attention?
I don't fucking know because I feel like it takes any knowledge of history should tell them that this is only going to hurt their whole movement, right? Was there anything they could have achieved besides hurting themselves? The more effective they were in terms of destroying things and taking over Capitol Hill and whatnot, the worse it would have been for them. The best case scenario is that they had never gotten in, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think it was just anger. Express anger. And so.
Okay, but these are conspiracy groups, right? They make up conspiracy, right? So they know what they say was kind of false in a way, right? Or do they really believe what they're saying?
I think they live in their own reality. That's the only way that it makes sense to my mind. First of all, they believe a lot of this stuff anyway. The whole country is secretly working against Trump, who won the election but had it stolen from. How do you even believe that? So they're already not living in reality. So the only way I can explain it is they honestly had the fantasy that they're going to somehow take over the Capitol Hill and reverse this.
So
I think
if they want to take over, how come maybe not bring any weapons? They almost I think maybe one person has weapon, but I don't see any bring any heavy machinery to. How do they expect to take over Capitol without weapons? Yeah.
Well, that's why I say it's got to just be express anger. Like, because I mean, I don't think they could have thought that far ahead. Like, I mean, as you say, like I don't think they had like a plan when they got that. Like, I mean, I don't know how they could, because it's like basically like step one is show up, be angry, charge the Capitol. Step two is Trump is inaugurated again.
I mean, at least online and stuff, I see people say, like, I've seen people post stuff from like right-wing QAnon groups where they're like, oh, we're going to come on the 19th with guns this time or stuff, right? So that at least some of them claim online that they will do an armed takeover, but I assume they're all going to chicken out.
So how come it was so easy? I was surprised at how easy it was for them to get into the Capitol, right?
Well, you saw a few of the videos showed like some of the cops just like letting them in, right? Mm-hmm. So I think some first of all, they didn't have a huge defense force there, which, I think some people had wanted the National Guard called in beforehand. And I believe Trump was like, no to that. But I think at least some portion of the police were kind of basically sympathizers, right? Which isn't a huge shock because, I think Trump does well amongst the cop demographics, but.
Oh, they just let people in. It's not really like, okay.
Not all of them. Like, I mean, there's a lot of video, right? Some of them show like cops trying to like push people back and stop people, but there's at least a few examples of like cops like letting people through, no problem.
All right. Cool. I guess since we're talking about that, I guess we'll talk about like police, about racism a little bit, right? Race, because I think a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's so easy on the white people, and it was when black people was protesting, it's cracking down so hard. Like, what do you think on that? All right, bring that racism.
I mean, I feel like you gotta admit they're right? Like, and even the cops who didn't like let people in, you imagine like being a cop, you're going to be around a lot more, say, Trump supporters and kind of right-wing people, because that's who a lot of the time are cops. Let's just be honest. So I could see it's much easier for them to be like, the group that you see as like your group to be like, even if you're trying to stop them, you're not trying to be a dick about it. You're trying to like just push them back and be like, stay calm. Where if it's like the other group you think is bad, it's going to be much more easy to like pull out the mace, the pepper spray and stuff. And I mean, obviously there was some force used against protesters. One was shot and killed, but yeah, if it was, Black Lives Matter, there probably would have been more cops who would have been jumped to like more violence quicker. Probably. Okay. I don't think that's a controversial statement.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's unconscious and conscious bias in play. So,
Okay.
All right, hold on. Look, so we're talking about Wednesday, but have we forgotten what happened on Tuesday with the Senate race? And we had, first of all, Georgia went blue again. What is it? Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah.
Blue Georgia 2.0. And
we are getting to that.
That's what I want to talk. And I want to talk about how Trump tweeted support for $2,000 direct payment check. Nancy Pelosi immediately was like, yes, and got a bill basically through for it. And then Mitch McConnell was like, fuck you. And he might have lost them the Senate with that move. What is going on in Mitch McConnell's head? Because I don't understand it.
No, I mean, see, and this is why I enjoyed this is vandalism I can support. Like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi's houses were both vandalized, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm like good. Like, I mean, so Mitch McConnell, yes, he was an absolute ass for blocking that, and she was an idiot. Well, she wasn't an idiot but she blocked the push before the election. So I mean, both of them can go shit in a hat.
Well, Matt, were you talking about Georgia turned blue because Mitch McConnell did not support the $2,000 payout?
I mean, I think a lot of people think that because Warnock won by a pretty good amount, right? And Kelly, whatever, is kind of seems like a terrible human being, so that doesn't surprise me. But the Ossoff race was pretty close, overall. So, I mean, well, also what hurt him is Trump literally constantly talking about how the voting's all fraud and cheating, right? That probably didn't help him much either.
Right, exactly.
But right. I mean, for the people, some people, when you have the president, like, it's not like the Republicans were unified on this, right? Like, the president said, we want this. And then Mitch Mitch blocked it very specifically.
He called it socialism for the rich. Yes.
Yes. The direct payment to people who make less than a certain amount is socialism for the rich. I just sometimes, Mitch gave a good speech on I think it was on Wednesday about how he couldn't vote to basically overturn the election. So he's such an asshole. He respects the rule of law, at least. I'll give him that. He was it's idiotic to try to undermine the Constitution just because your side didn't win the election. So I'll give him that. But he is completely willing to just say garbage and use any legal method to get his way, right? He doesn't, it's not like Republicans voted down these bills. He just likes to not let them be voted on because he's just I'm the Senate Majority Leader and I can do that.
I do have to give credit to him for doing that though, because he know everybody wants the $2,000, but he's doing what thing he thinks. I mean, he's doing what he thinks is the right thing to do, right? And then he's doing, and even though he knows the popularity, the popular people actually, everybody probably wants that, right? But he's doing against that, so I feel I have to give him credit for that. Also, I mean, $2,000 is that. I mean, I want it too because I qualify, right? So but the effects of that, so you're gonna print more money, right? Just means increase inflation, right? So I'm not sure what's the second order effect of that, right? So it's not. It could. I mean, in the end, it could be bad for the country financially, right? So anyway, I guess I say kudos to him for doing something that he believes in against the popular opinion, right?
Maybe. Is that why he did it? I don't know. So, I mean, overall, Mitch McConnell, you have to at least agree he's politically effective, right? He's gotten stuff done. But it's not like he just said, I refuse to do $2,000. He wanted to push another bill with a few other things attached to it. So I think he was just trying to use it as leverage to get a few other things passed. But surely it had to hurt them in Georgia because, I mean, a lot of people are just okay, Mitch is we are voting for senators and the Senate Majority Leader is blocking what Trump wants, which is to give me money, right? There's got to be at least some people who are turned off by that. And maybe we don't, need to try to support the Republicans controlling the Senate anymore.
Right, and that was a good play by Biden, because didn't he say basically if you turn Georgia blue and the Senate blue, day one, you'll get your $2,000 or something? Because, it'll just be hammered through. So, I mean, So, I mean, no, it was idiot. I don't know why he did it unless he felt like Trump or, there was literally no reason to do it. I mean, unless he felt like the Senate was in the bag already and, he just wanted to be an ass. So,
or he has ingenious motivations to give the Democrats control of the Senate for grander plans. And this was just his way of helping out.
Yes. Maybe he's just so convinced that they're going to screw up everything in the 2 years and it'll be a red surge in 2 years. But
he's going for the pendulum. He realizes there's going to be a swing back against Trump. So he's just he wants to let it go far so it can just come, shooting back. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, anything's possible. I don't know.
Can we get Mitch McConnell on this podcast? Shoot, send an email.
Yeah, all right, we do.
Be like, Mitch, we have some questions we want to ask you. You're going to have a lot more free time soon. Could you come on?
True.
Talk about the highlights of Kentucky.
Wait, is he from Kentucky?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, going back to the storming of Capitol again, right? So the basic foundation, the reason, I think everybody denounced, okay, this is a bad thing to do, right? Is condemning this action, rioting, right? However, I think the Fox News, they were still talking about there's still not legitimate voter fraud, right? So do you think there's actual voter fraud or no? I mean, I don't really know, right? I don't think that's voter fraud, but I guess that is the fundamental thing that people, right? I guess the root cause of everything, right? So, yeah.
Mike, you want to start before I rant?
I'll just say there's not enough voter fraud to make the difference that Trump thought it could make. Are there some dead people who voted? Yeah, maybe. But probably not whatever it was, like, tens of thousands in individual states.
That's a good point, because there's always like a little voter fraud. People have always said that, right? Like every election you'll find handfuls of people who voted who shouldn't have or whatever. But like, yeah, it's like tens or hundreds of thousands in multiple states to turn over the election. I mean, there's obviously not that. Like when you really look into it, it's completely ridiculous. Like Georgia is a Republican-run state that requires a photo ID for every in-person voter and does a signature match on every single absentee ballot. And they did a hand recount confirming the machine count. And then they're still trying to be like Georgia, voter fraud. It's like, this is literally like the most secure like election and bias towards you could possibly have. Like, what more could you want than all those things controlled by Republicans, right? It's completely ridiculous. And it's just nothing but garbage. They throw out so much misinformation and bullshit. And then when it's proven false, they just go for the next one, which tells you right away, right? This was never we noticed fraud, we got to expose this. This was always we don't like the results, let's hunt for fraud, something that can overturn it, which still like some degrees fine, having people take a critical look toward the election is probably good, right? But like when you can't find anything and you lose like 60 court cases in multiple states, including with a bunch of justices that Trump literally appointed himself, being like, this is stupid and obviously not true. Like you just got to admit, like, hey, like it didn't happen. You lost. Like there's simply nothing, right? Like they are something like 59 lost court cases. And I think they won a single court case in like one place in Pennsylvania where like poll watchers weren't allowed to stand close enough, something like that, right? So that was like the only case they won. And then it wasn't like they found a bunch of fraud, right? It's like, oh yeah, the poll watchers should have been a little closer. Like that was like the extent of it, And when even Trump has 3 justices and all of them like threw away his own case, we're like, this is bullshit, right? Like his own justices are saying it. It's not like the liberal Democrats are all teaming up. Like half your own party's like, this isn't real.
All right.
Okay, so there's no substance behind it. It's obviously a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. What about Arizona?
What about it?
The senators. What?
It's hot.
It's hot. Well, I think those senators who came up object the electoral college vote count from Senator Ted Cruz and who's the other guy? Also the senator from Arizona. So why do they believe there's such thing as voter fraud? Why do they, I guess, so vehemently believe that there's a fraud in the system?
See, I don't think they believe it. I think they're just sucking off Trump's nuts for political gain, right? They just want the Trump cult to support him. That's what I assume.
Oh, okay.
As you say, Shu, politicians playing politics.
Yeah, basically. Now, I mean, why do you think half of the people who were supporting this dropped this after the Capitol Hill thing, right? Like, let's say hypothetically they really believed like the election was stolen, and that would be an attack on democracy, and you would want to investigate that further regardless of what happened, right? But they're just like, oh shit, this Capitol Hill thing happened. This isn't politically advantageous to be on the side anymore. And then so they dropped it like a rock.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lawyer or someone basically just called like the big court case that went to the Supreme Court. They called it like a test of loyalty, basically, right? Like you sign on to prove your loyalty to Trump.
Gotcha.
Because even if he goes, he's still going to have like his voting base, right? So if that's the base you're looking to get out to vote for you, I think that's why you do it.
All right.
No.
Sounds good.
I feel like this episode should be named Politicians Are Boring.
Mike's really disappointed that the guillotine they built outside of on the lawn of Capitol Hill wasn't used. He was hoping Mike Pence would be captured and hanged in public view before military choppers start strafing it with gunfire or something. Then Mike's like, okay, this is kind of interesting.
No, it's just like, I guess, I don't know. Like, it's just all of the, I can't say all of them, but I feel like a lot of them are just they're just do anything they have to do to get people to vote for them. Like, they don't care that much. They don't necessarily understand that much or have any novel or great ideas, but it is what it is. I mean, it's I care when it affects me, and most of the time I don't. But
well, that's human nature, right? Incentive, right? Everything, when you try to I was reading something about a quote from Benjamin Franklin again, right? If you want to persuade somebody, appeal to their interest, not reason, right?
yeah.
So you cannot reason as people. You expect to appeal to their interest, right? So whoever is advising Trump, you should not just say, hey, this is the right thing to do. Step down, concede, right? This is the right thing. It's good for the country. They should say, hey, this is good for you. Maybe in the next 4 years later, you can run again, right? So anyway,
right. No, exactly. We're not going to pursue criminal charges if you step down, or, whatever. I mean, like I say, there's stuff on both sides that, like I say, is just I think reveals the nature of politicians. I mean, Joe Biden, when he, in his first debate with Kamala Harris, she called him basically a racist. And now she's his she is his vice president. And it's okay, you can move beyond that. That's good. And it's just these politicians who essentially said, the election they were elected in was fraudulent, but only for Trump. Now it's oh, now that nutcases stormed the Capitol, now we know it wasn't. It's
wow.
I mean,
wow. Mike has such a hate for politicians.
Well, it's just the hypocrisy and intellectual dishonesty for a large portion of them is just it's just it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And
okay, all right. So I think I'm gonna bring it back. Actually, yeah. So what about 25th? I guess before I bring it back to the Republic, what do you guys start thinking about on the 25th Amendment? A lot of people are talking about that.
Probably not going to get executed, right? Don't you need the cabinet to vote on it or something?
I think you just need a vice president and then the Congress. But anyway, so since we don't need to talk about it right now. So
yeah, I mean,
my thoughts are it probably won't happen.
He's gone in 12 days. Just
let him go, right?
Just let him go.
Yeah. Now, if they had caught someone in if those protesters had grabbed someone and then Trump was up on the stage, cheering them on as they dragged him out, then he would get, the 25th Amendment would be invoked. But I don't think enough happened.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think he will get more than just the 25th Amendment.
Right.
All right. So anyway, no vote for all and everything's good. So I think I guess our conclusion, the Republic still in good standing. There's hope for the Republic. So
I think with what we saw Wednesday, with what happened Wednesday, where basically universally it was condemned, even Trump at this point is I lost and I condemn it, and I'm willing to ensure a civil transfer of power. Basically now that I think it's sort of everyone is on the same page, right? I mean, it's just let the next 12 days go by quietly, and once Biden is in and the new Congress is sworn in, it's over. We're just back. So
yeah. All right. So So one thing I was doing reading about republic stuff, democracy. So I find that very interesting because only like a couple of days ago I hear a lot like senators, like Mitch McConnell is always like mentioning republic. This is like using the word republic so many times, and so I think since Matt is our I guess resident constitutional scholar, so I think I'll let you explain like what is the difference between republic and democracy.
So I was actually thinking about this when you started the episode. I was gonna ask you, like, what's your definition of republic? Because my understanding is we're both, right? We're a republic and a democracy. But the only definition I could give for a republic is kind of vague, but it's just like a country where the people have like the ultimate power. The people and their representatives have like the power, right? Republic? As opposed to like a monarchy or a dictatorship, right?
You talking about republic? Yeah. So democracy. So the difference I found that, at least my ignorance of that is that. So United States, it is both. Like you are right, it's both. It's republic and democracy. It's a representative republic, right? And as democracy, in pure democracy, basically like majority rules, right? So you end up with like mob rules and maybe whoever is popular. That's why in the U.S. we don't do the popular vote, right? We don't count popular vote. We use electoral college to protect like the minorities, right? Minority could be race, people in geographic locations. So U.S. is not really a pure democracy because you want to protect those minorities, right? People with minority opinions and stuff like that. And then republic. So that's why the founder created a republic. Republic in the sense that in the U.S. actually we are both, because in the federal level we are republic. However, in the state level, right? In the state level, we are kind of like a democracy because in the local government, you actually use like initial ballots to like vote on issues, and those are made just minority rules, right? So at least that's my understanding of the difference between republic and democracy. And the reason I think I mentioned earlier, because the founders, they are students of history, right? They know pure democracy had all failed in the history, right? So that's why they don't want just a pure democracy. So I guess that's why we have electoral college, right?
So, So I think I'm largely in agreement with you from my understanding, which could be wrong too, because this is not my area of expertise. But what you're calling a pure democracy, I think I've heard of called a direct democracy, where people directly vote on like issues, laws, and stuff, which does happen. Yeah. But so like the U.S. as a whole is not a direct democracy, but it is a democracy, I think. Like if you look at the definition, which I Googled on the background here, like just to double check, like it's not a direct democracy. We don't have everyone vote on every law themselves, right? It's not like legislators present a law and then put up, a Facebook poll to the U.S. population. Thank God. But, it's still a democracy. It's just like there's different types of democracies, and this is not a direct democracy.
Yeah. It's a republic.
It is both a republic and a democracy.
So it's not just a republic.
It's not just a republic.
Oh, it's just semantics.
I mean, could you have a republic that's not a democracy? I'm not exactly sure how that would work.
Yeah. So,
that's the confusing thing, because they overlap so much.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's see what Google says. Y'all talk about this.
I have no strong opinions. I mean, when you said it at the beginning of the episode, I essentially was thinking like a republic was just representatives that spoke on behalf of the people who democratically elected them. And a democracy was a pure democracy, where essentially like if you vote directly on an issue, and if you have one more vote for yes, then it's yes. And if you have one more vote for no, it's no. But,
okay.
I do feel like, I go back and forth. It's like I can understand like that, like when it comes to like, we should have more of a pure democracy and population vote should be the absolute decider, and no one vote should count more than, another vote. But at the same time, I do understand like the notion that like people who like live in cities have a very different life and like a very different set of needs than people who live in like more rural areas or whatever. And I think local governments should obviously, like local governments can obviously prioritize and work on behalf of the people in the rural area or the city, and at a national level, it's hard to say like the votes of the rural area should count more or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, I guess in a way it brings into question, and this would, I don't necessarily have like a good thoughts about this yet, but it brings into question how much power should be given, or like what the national government should actually be in charge of versus those more like should more be designated to those local areas because they sort of have the best ability to like assess what's correct for the people in that area. And if the national government is just more in charge of like common interests like military or, whatever, then would that be in a way better, I guess. So, yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's more my thoughts on it. So if you have a representative government, you get the issues with people's votes being counted more or less than they should be. And, I mean, if your national government is in charge of a lot, I don't know how much I disagree with sort of something like the Electoral College, but if your national government is really in charge of the only things that really affect everyone in the nation equally, then, I mean, I guess you could go a more pure democracy route in that case.
Sounds good. I guess last word on politics. I actually find American politics very interesting because I grew up in China, it's only one party. There's no discussion on politics. I don't think so. And, so anyway, even though no matter how, as I say, how divisive and the issue of like U.S. politics, it's never a dull day in America, I guess. So I think that's all I have for this week regarding the politics wise, and then I think there's plenty of stuff.
Can we do? Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go, Mike.
I was just gonna say, can we please designate next week to science?
All right, we've done improvement, and we've done politics now. So next week is science to get around to it.
Yes. Well, we didn't even go over it. Oh.
Are we talking your book?
Well, yeah, I'm still reading the book. I can make more of a dent in it if we hold it off till next week. But yeah, so gene therapy, gene editing. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta listen to it on Audible, and then if we could do robotics, Bitcoin, next week, stuff like that. But I mean, Bitcoin is still going up, right? So. Not gonna drop anytime soon.
I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. Like when I invested in March, I should have just put it in Bitcoin, but I was like, I don't want to invest in like volatile stuff. It's like if I just put in like blue chip stocks, like it's essentially guaranteed money, right? Like the market is gonna.
All right. Let's save that regret for next week.
Okay.
All right. Let's save that passion.
I hope it's down at $500 next week.
Mike, you're an idiot. You shouldn't have put it in Bitcoin. What you should have put it in, right?
What's that?
Tesla. Tesla, come on.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is the richest person. No, I'm looking at it right now. In March, let's say mid-March of 2020, it was $100 a share. It is now $8.80.
And I think it's split since then too, right?
Yeah, it's split too. It's split to half.
Oh my God. Why? Why buy stocks based on what companies are actually doing and just start buying stocks on Twitter hype? Like, holy shit.
No, I know. Well, that's what I mean. It's like, I feel like, again.
All right. We're going to talk about investing next week then.
Okay. Investing in science is good.
I mean, Elon Musk is a company's built on science stuff, right? So it's related.
We can talk about it, and I feel like we can talk about his what is it? MBA's destroying innovation. As well.
Right. So. All right, Elon Musk, SpaceX,
And gene editing.
And gene editing, which
I've heard he's interested in.
He does neural. I mean, he's the richest man in the world. He wants to live forever, and he's young. So.
Oh yeah, Matt, you were talking about stock Tesla's stock price skyrocketed from $100 to $1,600, right? Have you looked at Berkshire Hathaway? Like when people bought it, they bought it 30 years ago, it was $10, $100. Right now, per share is $30K, right? So, yeah.
I think they need to split their stock, first of all.
They
did, right?
They did not. They don't want to, because it's Warren Buffett. He doesn't want to split the stock.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought at some point I thought it was over 50 or so, over 100 maybe or something.
No. Yeah, Shu's mistaken. It's not 35K. It's 3,500 or 350K.
Oh, okay.
350,000.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You were off by an order of magnitude, Shu.
Again.
One stock is like the price of, a decent house. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Actually,
location depending.
Actually, when I was in Australia playing poker in Australia casino, right? This guy sitting across me, he say he bought share of Berkshire Hathaway when he was $15 or $20, and then he sold it a year later, right? And then he's just regretting it right now.
Well, it's you could buy a house if you have one. If you bought one share for $100 in the 70s, you could sell it and buy a house in a cheaper area.
Maybe the communists are right. This is a failure of capitalism.
Yes, well, it's gambling, but if you you can gamble intelligently. I just was overly safe.
Investing that's why I call Warren Buffett a gambler, right? He just investing is gambling too. It's just they know how to calculate the risk and reward, right? The odds, basically, they are better, right? They are very good at doing that. So that's how they are. Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
All right. So, what should our wrap up this show?
The Republic still stands.
That's the direction I was thinking as well.
Yeah. I'll buy more Bitcoins, I guess.
Yeah. Or buy more Bitcoins.
Junto Club.